Okay, are we live? We live? Are we live? Okay, it looks like we are live. Live recording from Arlington, Vermont. This is Happy Valley Hobbies. I'm Mr. Katie, and these are hobbies that make me happy. Haven't really done anything with the mini lathe this week. I'm still in the process of uh, trying to figure out where to put the tools because I got everything. I got the lathe mounted in its final location, which is within hand reach. But now it's like trying to figure out where am I going to put all the things, like where am I going to put the gears and stuff. So that's sort of where I'm at with the mini lathe that they say. Well, hello, Anthony, and how are you today? Wasn't expecting someone this quick from um, being here, but it's nice to know. I guess there are people that are waiting for the notifications. I think there's about I want to say about 5 regulars, along with you, Anthony. And it seems that my videos are getting about approximately 20 views after the fact. Some are a little bit more. Yeah, basically everything needs more space. But the challenge is sometimes you just gotta find out what tools you're not really using and see about getting rid of them. One thing I do have now, which I haven't permanently mounted yet, is a small little drill press that my father had. It was being on lease with the Tech Valley Center of Gravity, which is a makerspace, which is a makerspace. The best way to describe it is sort of like, with a gym. You could buy a gym membership, you can use all the exercise equipment. Well, with a makerspace, it's the equipment is not exercise equipment, it's machine tools. So it's one of those things of didn't really have space to keep my tools there, so I had there's a bunch of my tools there on loan. What had happened is that the table on this broke. Someone cranked on it too much, and the cast iron broke on it, which was annoying. But they found out that it was actually cheaper to buy a brand new one than to fix this old one. So I wound up bringing it back home, and now trying to figure out what to, how to fix the bed, or probably not the smartest thing to do, but maybe get an XY table and make it into a milling machine. Since it's a single I'm trying to think what it's called now. It's a single tube for the main connection between the head and the base, which does not do very well for if you're trying to use it as a milling machine, because the head would have a tendency to sort of swivel. So I'm not quite sure if that would be a good idea or not. Since I'm, basically be using it for making model train parts, maybe there's a not that much torque in there that would turn around and destroy things and all that. But that's sort of as I said, I don't even have it permanently mounted yet. It's originally I was also thinking about putting on the workbench behind me, but it was again, once I put it on there, the whole thing starts swaying because it's all bolted. It's a Harbor Freight workbench that's bolted together. And up until recently, the nearest Harbor Freight that I knew about was over a mile away. It was either go to Queensbury, go to Half Moon Clifton Park in New York. I've heard that there was one in possibly in Rutland, Vermont, but I never went that direction, so I don't know where it is. There's one I've heard might be somewhere in Massachusetts, but there's one that recently opened up in Brunswick, New York, which is outside of Troy, New York. Which when I go to Troy, which I'm planning on going to Troy this afternoon, I'll be going past it. And that's how I found out about it, because I went past it. I'm like, wait, it says Harbor Freight on it. So it's a smaller store from the looks of it, but I didn't go with the Harbor Freight version of this, mainly because of customer service. This is probably the most expensive, except for I think Little Machine Shop their version might be slightly more expensive, not by much. Basically, well, sort of, I'm thinking of the difference between a Lincoln and a Cadillac. I forgot exactly what the Chrysler equivalent was. Yeah, it's I would have to say it's nice to have all the pieces of a complete workshop. One thing I am contemplating on, if I don't go with the XY table on the drill press, is getting a milling attachment for the lathe. I was talking to someone who does machining stuff and all that, and he sort of cringed. It's like, oh, milling attachment, get a real mill. It's like, yeah, I don't quite have the room for a real mill. I mean, I think I do, but the thing is, then you have all the tools that go with it. So, it's a I don't want to say first world problem, because it would be more of, I would say, a second world problem, but I could be completely wrong. One thing, since the Fifth Avenue. All right. So yeah, I was trying to think. It's like, oh, what's the Chrysler? Because I don't usually buy luxury cars, and my father had a Cadillac once, but it was like a 10-year-old used Cadillac, and some of the fancy things like the roll-up windows didn't really work too well on it. So it's one of those things that was the only. My father was definitely a Chevy guy, so it's one of those things of I knew about Cadillac. And I'm trying to think how I found what I knew about Lincoln, but well, Lincoln, it's like it's named after a very, very famous president. So, but that's where I'm at with those. I am in the process of, with the makerspace that I'm going to after this, after the live stream. I am in the process of. I have a storage space there because there was a project that I was building there, which was basically a cargo bike. The thing is, in Vermont, I never really finished it because in Vermont, it's more the way it's set up. Yeah, Lincoln is Ford's luxury line, just like Cadillac is the GM luxury line, and I'm assuming Chrysler is the Chrysler's luxury line, where Dodge is the more workhorse, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. My first vehicle, we nicknamed it the fake Dodge because it was a Dodge D50, but it wasn't a real Dodge because it was built by Mitsubishi, just rebadged. But that was a fun vehicle until, well, I rear-ended somebody. That's a story for a different time. If we ever get to it. But yeah, especially since it's more of a model train model train channel, having real life accidents probably does not fit the theme very much. The lathe and the drill press, it's the way I look at it, it's a side hobby, where it's not really, it's, I could do projects on that, but they sort of complement each other. They're hobbies that complement each other. One of the things I might wind up doing eventually, also because I want to be able to have a backdrop, also take up landscape painting. I basically bought all the stuff and all that, but I haven't really been watching too many. That's right. I forgot about Plymouth. My sister had a Plymouth. It, what was it now? It was a Plymouth. Started with a V. Plymouth Valiant, I think it was. That was a okay vehicle. But I don't know, I'm starting to feel like Heath, where I get distracted. Valiant, yes, all right. Yeah, because my sister also had a Volkswagen Rabbit, and early on we made she had something that she had a nickname or something that said VR on it. I sort of made the joke was, it was, she'll be the Valiant Rabbit because it was after her first two vehicles. Um, but yeah, actually, she just recently got a new vehicle because the vehicle that she had got to a point where it's like, yeah, there's not enough parts to make a fully functioning vehicle anymore. So she has now got a Mini Cooper. So not quite, she lives just southwest of Boston, so having a smaller vehicle is probably a smart thing. Uh, but well, switch over to from talking lathes and automobiles to what I'm currently trying to do. I wound up uh, adding more Mod Podge and toilet paper to the scene, but I don't know, just the water doesn't seem right anymore. I should have just left it at one layer, not two. But there's some parts that they've turned white for some reason, not quite sure. But going to leave the water alone for a while and concentrate on the land masses. And basically adding first probably brown for the basic ground cover and all that. Basically what this is, I went to the local hardware store, went through their colors that were not matched properly and all that, and aimed for the brownest one. So this is what I got here. It's very brown. Actually, my newest diorama that I'm putting together for the covered bridge. That's what I was doing before I went live. That's what the brown's going to look like when it's done. And I'm going to be doing something very similar to what I did to my first diorama, where it's basically doing it all brown and then adding green on top. Once it, hello, Randall. How you doing today? And so we'll start with, I also got extra green stuff and all that. That's why we're waiting for this to dry. Then we'll go on and add for greenery on the other. So one of those things, even though this paint was considered a brand that, you know, it was a mismatched color and all that. It was pretty expensive in my opinion, but that's just me. Easton frame. Yeah, it's a decent earth brown. Especially when it dries. When it first comes out, it looks. I almost say it's almost purple orange or something like that. You definitely see that there's a lot of blue in it. And basically cover up the plaster. Do one's best to fill in the holes. One thing I gotta remember when I'm doing the base coat is not to worry about it too much because it's the base coat. I think when I was younger, I would, try to, got to make the base coat just perfect and all that. It's like, no, it's going to be covered within. Base coat basically is there if a mistake, if if there's a mistake or damage to a upper layer, then the bottom layer makes it less obvious, especially with the working with white plaster. You're watching Racing with Dad. Nice. I was gonna say this is definitely not a high-paced setup. But as you can see, this is sort of made with a box because it's definitely not natural in being that straight of a cut. But these are not going to be prize. These are not going to be prize-winning dioramas. These are basically learning on how to do techniques on them. See, what works right, what works wrong. So these are definitely not going to be contest models. I might enter it into like a competition with the NMRA and all that, just to get the feedback on what's a better way of doing it. Not as a, I'm going to win it. I'm going to win something. These are definitely not going to be award-winning. Well, I'll take that back. There is a possibility to win, even first place with one of these. Is that if nobody else enters? Uh, the only thing, this is my hypothesis. Yeah, hypotheses is that maybe water water is shiny, so it turns around and helps reflect more light. Uh, so when it winds up drying, that shininess goes away and it makes it appear darker. So that's my theory, and that's what I'm sticking. Definitely gonna do maybe a couple coats brown on this, just to making sure that I think the first what happens with the first coating is that if there's anything that's able to suck any of the paint up and all that, sort of more acting as more of a sealer than an actual paint. Now this is I'm actually thinking about eventually having as a rock base. So I'm going to be painting it more as a sealer paint. But as you see from the edge of the layout that I have, which is currently in pieces, that's why I wound up using as the inside or the ground part, and then using Smart Primer, which is white for all the white parts. They do have ah, what's it? No, it's try to get more life in your projects and all that, but I don't want an actual live thing in my project. Actually, that happened earlier. I think I was painting more of the stuff on here in a small little net. Wound up taking a swim and realizing that, oh, wait a minute, this is not water. I'm not going to be able to swim out of it. And it did get me thinking that maybe putting some parts, because you do every now and then you do have a twig or something floating down the river and all that. So I might be contemplating doing something along those lines. All right. And it's like when it comes to chemistry, I have no clue. But would have to say, Quart has gone a long way. It's brown paint. I think I've been using it for the past 2 years. Mainly what mainly because I wound up using it first on the layout here, which is a pandemic layout. Fortunately, you can't see what I'm doing here. So there's C trying to, but right now I'm sealing this portion right here. But I am thinking of trying to figure out a way to see a good move. See where I missed. Adding rock castings along here to use some cliff faces and stuff like that. Something that my layout is mostly flat or some hills, so you don't really have the opportunity to do rocks. Same thing with the water feature. It's like I wound up buying some bridges and all that, but layout is not conducive to having a bridge on it, even a small one. Also, another thing is that some of the things I've done, like with the cardboard and all that, are actually over the piece of wood. Just thinking after things are done and all that, just cutting straight off. Or, I don't know, maybe leaving that. The said these are not going to be any award-winning stuff and all that, so it might be more of a hassle to actually turn around and full complete it. Basically make it good enough to maybe take a picture or two or something. All right. I think I have some regulars, I guess. Probably the time change probably lost some people, but just to me it makes I think it was a good change for me personally. Might have lost some audience members, but I do see that there's at least 20 viewings after the fact. Even though I might have lost live customers, but for viewers, but seems that I've possibly retained the not so live for the recording viewer. Yeah, that sounds so much better than not so. All right, let's flip this up side. Oh, getting paint out. Phone saying something. Not sure what it's saying. I don't know where shut down. And so we're kind of curious now who's winning the race, Randall. For anyone who's interested in behind the scenes, what the mountain's made out of. It's made out of California mandarins box for a while ago. Able to successfully soften the edges on it. But this might be another slide that play with rock faces. Also, another thing I can think of with this becoming lighter, I mean, this might be this specific application, but painting onto the plaster that might, some of the plaster dust might be mixing in with it. a big, large hole here. Actually, have some plastic to go. So we get that with hole. But, plan after this. So, I do have a Word Scenics kit. Originally, I wanted to get a hold of a water scene kit, but the place I bought it from did not have it at the time, so I decided to go with the mount. It's castings for make plaster castings for stuff. Which I was surprised to find out that after mixing them together and then pouring them into the rock castings, that pull them out, they're awful fragile. So things I might wind up doing is adding I don't know, so maybe white glue or something that makes the plaster a lot less fragile. Another thing is also to try to figure out how to optimize my computer. So when I first started doing live streams and all that, my computer had didn't really have issues. But now it's starting to have issues, and I think it's one of those things where I'm unintentionally overloading it. And there's also a lot more annoying background programs that keep on popping. One of them is Internet Edge. It's like, I'm not using Internet Edge, I'm using Chrome. So why is it popping up is in the text menu? So I close that one. There's programs that I look at going like, I'm not using this right now. So off you go. And unfortunately, I think that's what a lot of problems that people have is that trying to run programs, but then the manufacturer or the software company says, "Oh, you're going to need this. You're going to need this. You're going to need this. You're going to need this." It's like everyone takes up some kind of resource. I mean, there's sometimes I've come across, it's like there's a program that apparently is for the search bar. It's like, I'm not searching anything, so why are you on? It's not that the program itself is not taking that much resources. It's just that when you have over over 100 of these little programs that they they take some resource here, they take a little bit there, a little bit there. Eventually, that's why your computer starts slowing down, because all these small little programs need to have, in some cases, they are basic. It's almost like bloatware, where you got something that is running just because it's using all the resources because it can use all the resources, and it doesn't need that. Years ago, I came across the small little program for a calculator, and it wouldn't work because it wasn't connected to the internet. And I'm like, what does a calculator need to have an internet connection for? And that's just it. I mean, a lot of times that it also becomes the question in some cases with some programs. It's like, what there's a hidden agenda on some, like malware. So, they might be giving you the function you want and all that. But there's a function behind the scenes that you don't want it, or you would like it now. You might not know full functionality of stuff. Got one program that, I mean, it checks out on my phone, where it checks out how strong the cell phone signal is and all that, etc. But also, now it also says, "Hey, I need your location data," which makes sense because there is a map on it that says, "Hey, here's where you are, and this is where the cell phone is." So that makes sense. But a calculator that needs to know your GPS location is like, why does it, why does something that can work fully offline need to know all this stuff? It's all about, my understanding, to help with your advertising experience, to make it better. It's like you're selling the information so people buy ads that are specifically targeted towards me, which no. So white spaces, stupid covering spaces. I just recently got some more plaster cloth, so plaster cloth, turn around, fill up small holes like this. But we're done with the brown. Switch this one over here. There. Now the interesting thing is with this, what it's actually made out of. It's I want to say it's like a recycled cardboard, but originally it looked like this. Now, thing is, I got this from work, and what they did, we make mattresses and stuff like that. cushions and wedges, all the other stuff and all that. And it comes in, and the thing is, there's a lot of stuff that comes in, the fabric comes in bolts. And basically what this is a bolt holder. So, just the bolts separated. Sometimes this was originally actually, think of it being mirrored. So it's, this is the top and then the mirrored onto the bottom and all that. Keep the bolts of cloth separate. And the thing is that it also makes, makes a nice, cute little valley. So what I did is brought a couple home, chopped one up, made one, basically made this one a little bit size longer and all that. And this is going to be set up for the covered bridge that I have. This is still a little on the not dry side. That's where that's going to fit on there. Add, like I did with that, the other one, add ties and all that stuff. That's the one for the covered bridge. One I just finished was for the non-covered. Both of these are Hunterline kits. Just that one is, it's pretty much the same thing. A queen post bridge. So one is covered, one is not. So there's slight differences. On the inside there, you can see where the queen post section is. The main difference is the uncovered has an outrigger, but that keeps the trusses straight, whereas this has a whole entire building keep straight. Okay, I really want to go to, because this one's for the trussel that I got from Hunterline, which fit there. It's nice and right there. Looks like there's a good chance Anthony may be leaving for us soon for his live stream. So I guess I'll switch it back over to the main camera. Head camera, I guess it would be called. Leaving the bench camera, go to the camera. And of course, in moving the backdrop, of course, causes the camera to bounce around because it's connected to the backdrop. Before I leave, I actually have to remember to clean. Before I leave, actually remember to clean off the one paint thing there. Yeah, it's like, now it's up to watching paint dry. Yeah, it's basically just added more details, and probably next week, if I don't do it offline, do it online to add green to the adding green over on top of onto the brown. I might actually have to turn around and add, now that I got more plastic cloth, maybe add more plastic cloth, then more brown then the green. All right. Yeah, I had a feeling that you're in the process of setting up, Anthony. Um, as I said, I am in the process of going to Troy, New York, which is about an hour away from me, to get some other details done at the uh, makerspace, and try to get other details done and all that, and tying up loose ends and all that. Right now, I have I took out all my money out of the federal credit union that I was using while I was in New York State. So there's no money in there. So it's like one of those things that are going like, all right, I'm going to go in here, have the card, close the account and all that fun stuff. That has to be done before 5. So if I leave here when I stop the stream, there's a good chance I'll be getting there at 4:30, which gives me half an hour to close the account and move on to the other thing, move on to the Tech Valley Center of Gravity to clean up some of the loose ends there. And that's what my plans for afterwards. Yeah, it's one of those things of figuring out what kind of first project I want for the lathe also. One of my ideas was to actually make a scriber. I was going to see about getting some hex stock. I wound up getting needles, but now, and the thing is that I have a whole bunch of needles, but the thing is they're for the sewing machine, which has the hole on the bottom. These are hand sewing needles, so the holes on the top. That's what I was actually initially looking for. So, but yeah, right now, I need to optimize my computer, because right now my one screen's flashing because there's not quite enough computing power to keep it from not blinking. Okay, well, I guess that's a blooper. Yeah, it looks like something had one of my tin canisters wound up falling. Which the thing is that it's one of those things of when you it's one of the Danish butter cookie ones and all that, which there's memes on it as are they cookies or are they sewing implements? My case is they're model train parts. So because I do have a couple of sewing machines, but I don't really use them. One is my mother's that she bought when she was younger, so she can teach herself sewing. For decades, I thought it was a wedding present, but no, she bought it when she was much younger. So the machine is a lot older than I thought. The other one, it appeared. It's one of those things I'm not quite sure where or when it appeared, but between moving and stuff like that, it must have been somebody, when I moved from one place to another, it might have been in something else and accidentally grabbed it. So I don't know if it's somebody else's or it's something that because I showed it to my sister. She says she vaguely remembers it, so she might have bought it, but she's got all newer equipment now, so she doesn't need it. technically I don't need it. But so it's one of those things of I did have a friend ask me, he says, do you have a sewing machine? I'm like, well, yes, I have one. And I went to go bring it to her and all that. Says, no. I don't need a sewing machine. I just have all this extra thread and this, that, and etc. I was going to give to you. So I'm like, all right. So I guess we'll go that direction. Well, it looks like Anthony is about ready to go live himself. So I'll be signing off. I believe that the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around.